And start sharing my screen here, and we're going to run through kind of some exciting updates that we have for Women Ambition. So let me just make sure we're able to see. Let me make sure the screen share is on. Okay. Awesome. So thank you for joining. I know this was a little bit last minute planning and everything, but we're going to go through kind of a history of Women Ambition, some future updates, what we're working on over here, when things will be released, and what to look out for. So what is Women Ambition? So really we're an organization, and the goal and what we're built to do is to improve wellness and the chances of success for female founders. And we're doing that through a supportive community, through programs and unforgettable events around the globe. And so why empower women entrepreneurs? So I'm definitely a person who's driven by data and statistics. It's definitely because we're worth it. So women entrepreneurs are growing by 10% worldwide, and companies fail 14% less often with female leadership. So not only are we actually growing, but we're succeeding more often. So I love this quote: if you want to go fast, go alone. If you want to go far, go together. So that's definitely some of our mentality. So our mission here is really to improve wellness of women entrepreneurs around the globe. So we're really focused not only on that business aspect, it's really kind of what comes first, the chicken or the egg. So we really feel that once wellness is kind of handled and tackled first, then you're able to kind of reach your full potential. So there's a lot that you'll see coming up that has to do with business and different online courses and marketing and kind of all the bases and framework that you need to grow a business, but it's kind of all layered on with wellness. So mission and values, I think this is a really good place to start. And this is really kind of how we started in general, figuring out what are we going to offer. I think when I started this company, I'll show you kind of further ahead in terms of timeline, but it really started backwards, where I faced a problem and I just wanted a solution. And so I created it without even really realizing what the problem I had was and what solution I needed. So it took a long time to kind of look back and realize, well, what are our deep values? What's the real mission? What was I suffering from? And how are we actually going to solve that, not only for me, but for other women as well? So our mission, our values here are to be grateful for the moment you're in right now. I think that's extremely difficult with technology nowadays. You're kind of always on the next thing, looking for the next notification, worrying about work, worrying about this, family. So really trying to be present in the moment, and especially when building a company, there's so many things to be worried about. So really trying to actually appreciate that moment you're in. And then always place your mind and body above all else. I tell this to everyone and to myself as well. Without your mind and body, you're nothing. So that's absolutely should be your top priorities. The typical put your mask on before you can put anyone else's on. So there's no way you're going to solve a big problem and create this company if you're not mentally and physically well and kind of at your optimal level. Then be resilient, limitless, and unwavering in your belief in your journey and in yourself. So this is something as well. I have a tattoo that is trying to make myself always remember that you have to have faith in your journey. That sometimes, most startups fail. And that's just a fact. So a lot of times, when you get started with something, you're so obsessed with the idea and the problem and the solution that you don't pay attention to the journey that you're on. You miss all the signs that maybe your idea isn't working out, and you just go full steams ahead, and then you fail, which is part of your journey and can lead you to something else. But it's kind of maintaining that faith, even when it's hard and days are long and you're not really believing anymore. Definitely maintaining that belief. Then take small steps forward with consistency, quality, confidence, and humility. So definitely, in the end of the day, it's made up of small steps. So you really need to kind of be able to have that not only motivation, but discipline to be able to each day wake up, get out of bed, and take those little tiny steps, do those phone calls, try to hire some freelancers, try to write some content, try to meet some people. So it's just little tiny bits that end up to the whole creation of this company. Then authentically support women on this journey without judgment. This is probably the biggest one. I think we always say we really want to empower women. We always want to help. But in the end, a lot of times I see almost not on a day-to-day basis, but I see quite often that a lot of times we end up tearing each other down without meaning to. So we see other women that are really successful or they're growing, and instead of feeling internally really happy for them, we're kind of judgmental. What we do is we end up turning that negative against ourselves, thinking, well, shoot, my business isn't doing that well, or, I didn't get that promotion or whatever it is. So it's kind of creating this community and kind of changing our mindset that when somebody else starts to succeed, then that can help our paths as well.
Mm-hmm.
So timeline and history. So this is kind of a feedback I continually get, is that nobody knows who I am. They go to WomenAmbition.com and they think that our reviews, member reviews, or that's who created this company. I've been kind of a secret founder. So I'm going to start to come out of the woodworks and actually share a little bit more of my story and kind of who I am more day to day. But basically, so those of you who may not be American, my accent's very American, so I am American. I grew up in rural Maryland. Then when I was 20, I studied abroad in Spain and became obsessed with the culture. And I just kept going back. I got my first job, and my whole career began in Spain, in Barcelona. And quickly after getting that first job, I ended up going with the CTO of that company to take over a tech software company in Barcelona. So that's in 2016 where kind of this journey began, and it was really, really high. It was a lot of excitement, a lot of optimism, really believing and seeing those Forbes articles. We're going to be so famous. I'm going to be standing on the stage presenting, this company. It's going to be great. I did kind of led the whole marketing, customer success, and sales side of things, opening up the U.S. market, getting the whole platform ready for the U.S. market. And my previous experience was, that was my first job. So there wasn't much experience to work with. And the industry was totally new for me. I'd just gone to Barcelona, so everything was completely new. So that was kind of the highs kind of very quickly became a low, a very low. So because I started off, obviously I had no savings. It was my first career. I'm coming from school in the US, so debt is a pretty typical thing. So right off the bat, financial scarcity was real. Making it month to month was very, very, very hard. And then trying to whatever extra we could possibly get was investing. I got to a point of increasing my credit card limit to pay for employee salaries. Don't do that. Bad idea. And then that led to a lot of anxiety because the stakes are high when you're living in the scarcity mindset, both with time, both with resources, both with money. It's something that you're kind of in that drowning mentality of, okay, we got to stay afloat, and that's it. So that led to kind of a constant day-to-day anxiety, which means I'm not doing sales calls well. I'm not thinking of innovative ideas. I'm not executing well. I'm working all the time, but in terms of productivity, I guarantee you I was nowhere near to what I'm doing nowadays. And then that also led to social isolation. So I had really no friends. And those that did kind of gave up on me because I would never go to any social events, kind of the typical I'm working, a workaholic kind of thing. And definitely dabbled a bit into depression, which is definitely real in the entrepreneur world. And that really led me to create WomenAmbition, not because I had this great strategic idea and I wanted to build this organization and help women entrepreneurs around the world. It was because I was drowning and needed help. So I created it purely for my kind of selfish reasons of trying to find other women like me who are creating companies and, have this mentality of being an entrepreneur and wanting to build something, and who really got it. So little by little, I realized that it was a lack of wellness was kind of the general issue that I had. And that was something that I then wanted to try to tackle with WomenAmbition. So all of 2018 was really events, just a ton of events. I felt like a chicken with his head cut off. I just ran. We had monthly events in Barcelona, New York, San Diego. I was running absolutely everything, getting the speakers, getting the spaces, promoting all of the events. We had over 500 attendees throughout the year. We built the social community and kind of growing the brand, but we still didn't have any sort of business or actual kind of ability to make this sustainable. So come to 2019, and that's my new focus. So now I am well. My wellness has gotten a lot better. So now it's a little bit more of strategic. So how can we scale this? How can we actually have an impact on women entrepreneurs worldwide and scale that? to make it something sustainable. And so the big kind of highlights are expanding events, changing the model of events to be able to scale, and then also launching online memberships, which is something that we really, really hope will have that impact. So the problem that we're focusing on, so we have three main buckets that is the kind of the problem and solution. So one bucket is health. So this is kind of that typical lack of confidence. Maybe you don't work as hard because you don't really believe in yourself, or maybe you think, oh, this idea is silly. I don't think people are really gonna get it, or I don't want to feel embarrassed if it fails. General lack of wellness. You're just not taking care of yourself. You're not making your wellness as high as a priority as your business. The high stress and anxiety, which just comes with the job. Scarcity mindset, and the need of kind of having coaching or mentors, but not knowing how to be able to afford them because coaches are quite expensive, or find mentors. Then the business side of things is more of a lack of knowledge, a lack of funding. So that's something pretty typical. I don't know if you guys have heard that statistic that women receive 2% of VC funding. So obviously there's a lack of us reaching out for it to begin with, and then a lack of us receiving it when we are in that pool of possible startups to be invested in. And then lack of just basic connections, or having those mentors, knowing the right people, knowing the right investors, team, PR. In the end of the day, it's kind of all politics. It's all who you know. So we're really trying to kind of be able to basically vet these startups and then give you that credibility kind of built in, that you have the stamp of being part of us, that you can access our own network. And then the social side of things. So that really goes to that isolation. So if you don't know other entrepreneurs, or maybe you just aren't really close with them, then it's kind of that feeling of feeling alone, having that kind of non-relevant network. So a lot of people say that your first customers will be your friends and family, but I've never had that. Not with my software company, not with this. It's just nobody's relevant. And then just that typical lack of support, that they love you deeply, but they just don't know how to give you that support that you need with this new endeavor. And then the solutions that we're trying to provide. So with the health side of things, like I mentioned, making coaching actually affordable for a larger population. Creating those online wellness programs and being part of that like-minded community, that you realize right off the bat you're not alone. You have people to call. You always have someone there who will answer you. Then business side of things, the mentors are really helping you to actually find that one specific person who's right for you. The investor programs and pitches of getting you in front of the right people and making sure you're prepared to be there. The PR connections and media outlets, so really making sure that your story is heard and that it deserves to be heard. And helping you make those connections, so we don't have a million people reaching out. We have just one organization that provides them with that already credible content that they can already pull and publish. Then knowledge-based specific trainings and courses. We'll go through this later. And then the social side of things, so lots of events. So we're running events, we'll go again later, but it's in San Diego, New York, Barcelona, and Budapest. Then running accountability and mastermind groups. This is what I'm probably most excited about, because it's really creating those small, tiny niche groups of relevant women for you, ideally in your city. But if not, then globally, to be able to actually have that commitment, meeting every 2 weeks and really supporting each other on a deeper level than maybe the events where you just meet people kind of casually. So this kind of goes a little deeper. And then just the online community as well, having someone to always go to. So I want to kind of give a little kind of before and after. So to really understand what exactly WomenAmbition is doing, what are we trying to provide? So the before is really this, it starts off with kind of a lack of direction. So a lot of times at the beginning, there's a lot of excitement, being your own boss. It's super exciting. You don't have to go to an office if you don't want to. You have this great idea. You can already envision it being this huge success. And then all of a sudden you start to, try it out, get the website out. You don't get the clients, you don't get the numbers you're looking for. I call this kind of the gray area. It's, you're getting some sales, but, it's not really growing. You're not getting, you're just kind of like, it's working, kind of. You're not really getting clear feedback of what to change. It'd be great if they said, oh, well, if you just change this on your website, then more people would buy. But it's just so much harder than that. And a really great way to help gain clarity is to have a mentor, have somebody who's been there where you are now, can really help you get to that next level, or a coach. And again, they're very expensive. So really trying to actually provide those connections for you to get that clarity and kind of have a little bit of direction, and then as well feedback. So if you're trying new things, what do they think? And then you have another side of things, scarcity. I can't talk about this a lot, and I feel like a lot of people don't know a whole lot about it, but your brain actually functions differently. I've read books about scarcity, studies on scarcity. When you're in a scarcity mindset, you're not as strategic. You can't answer questions the same way. You have that, and that's not just money. Scarcity isn't only just money. It's time. It's even social interaction. I mean, if you're lacking something, then you're in that scarcity mindset. So really kind of helping you to leave that mindset, to make those strategic decisions, which are crucial to move forward. Another one is guards up. So I love this whole, and I used to say this all the time, both of these things. With my software company, I'd be so proud. I'd be like, yeah, I'm going to fake it till I make it. I tell all my friends, and I'd get a big sale and be like, woo, and I would have told that client that we had a lot more clients than we actually have. And then hustle, I'd be like, yeah, I'm working 20 hours a day. It's great. I barely sleep. I'm doing calls at like 2 o'clock in the morning, 3 o'clock in the morning for time differences. I was so proud. I was like, look at me. I'm working my butt off. It's great. But that leads like directly to being like a complete lack of wellness, which really doesn't help you out in the long run. It's something that, of course, you're going to have times where you have to hustle it out, where you have to work really hard, and you're going to have to fake it till you make it. If you're standing in front of an investor, you have to show confidence. But you also need a group of women, a group of people, whoever it is, to let your guards down and be who you are, and just let it down and be like, this is what's really going on, to actually solve the root of an issue instead of just keep band-aiding it on top. Then another one is isolation. So kind of a typical scenario is having your core group of friends, but they can't support you. Maybe they see you suffering, and their advice is just to get out, and that's great. But if you had, a relevant group of female founders who can really understand, maybe they help you in other ways that you don't have to give up what you're working for. So trying to avoid those feelings of loneliness and just feeling misunderstood. And then knowledge. So, it's a typical thing that when you get started, you're going to wear a million hats. You're going to be the lawyer, the accountant, the CEO, the CMO, the VP of sales, the VP of product. You're going to do absolutely everything. And it's going to require a lot of skills that you don't have. And you're probably not, when you're just getting started, going to have kind of a big fancy budget to pull the team together. So it's kind of giving you the framework of how you can at least get started, to be able to get to a place where you can get funding and get the people in the right places. So after, and this is kind of our obviously our ideal scenario. So after, we're really trying to provide that credible guidance. So somebody who's really been where you are, who's at the next level, who can help you get there. Then the community. So and I think this might be the biggest one, is that when you walk away after being a part of WomenAmbition for however long it is, 3 months, 6 months, a year, 2 years, 5 years, that when you went in, you felt more lonely. When you went out, you feel so much less alone. And that's like kind of the core of why we really built this, because you want to feel supported. And I feel like that makes you stronger on a day-to-day basis. No matter what you're going through, you have those people that you can run to. And then giving you kind of the fast lane option. So really kind of being able to build your brand and give it credibility, being able to reach the right people, funding, and audience to grow. Then the authentic support. So really trying to provide the space, the safe place to let your guards down, really tell the real stories, how it is, people you can relate to, and people you can depend on. And then knowledge. So gaining access to online programs, case studies, real studies, that actually go into the specifics of how they built the business, not the pretty version. And not only really a big focus on both the business process of how it got built, and also wellness. So how they actually kept it together in times of struggle, when it got hard, who did they turn to, and how did they get through that? So the two sides of things that we're focusing on moving forward are online and offline. So I'm sure you guys are kind of aware that social media is not, the world's best place to go to feel better. There's a lot of statistics proving that people feel worse after being on social media. So the online platform is really necessary to be able to get the group of people, but the end goal is to use technology to get offline. that's the biggest goal. And so with the online, there is new member options, which we're going to go through in a little bit. And then offline, it's simply events. So it's a lot of casual, informal happy hours and events mixed in with actual more formal events with presentations and Q&As and fireside chats and things like that. And again, they're in San Diego, New York, Budapest, and Barcelona right now. And we're looking to expand to, we're now in talks in India, Berlin, and Lyon in France. So with the events, kind of why they're special, why they're different, why we're doing them. So we're doing them ongoing, kind of on a continual basis. And Barcelona is the place where we've had the most events. And each event, there's always the continual same people and new people always coming. So you kind of have that place you can always go to see the same people, to catch up. And then you also have that safe place, so really allowing them to let their guards down and actually go there for real support. And the topics we talk about are pretty deep. Usually it's not kind of the typical, oh, how was your week? Great. How was yours? Great. It's a little deeper than that of kind of what did you actually achieve this week? What are your big challenges? Are there anything that we can actually help you with? And then the global events, really having that global presence. That's something that definitely kind of sets us apart and is also great. If you're traveling and or moving and want to get kind of a built-in network, then you have that there. And then the community, so it's not only just the event, but then you have the platform to be able to then connect with everyone afterwards and then kind of take advantage of all of the offers and things like that to really nurture the relationships and not have it just be the typical, one networking event. The wine was good, but that was about it. So the online community, I don't know if you guys, I think I mainly promoted this webinar through the online community, so you may already be on there. But this is something that we launched earlier this year, not too long ago. So it's still kind of, building up. And these are the new memberships. So we're now going to be having 3. And frankly, kind of everything that you're going to see here, most of it's going to be new. We've started some of the stuff like the monthly themes that you see here, but there's going to be a ton more value being brought on that platform. So we're always going to have a free option. And there's a big reason for that because we're really trying to go after not only established entrepreneurs and successful entrepreneurs, but early stage. So it definitely, for me, it's always something that I want to provide this value no matter what. So there's a lot that you'll get just for this free membership. And a big piece of it will be these monthly themes. So we've already done Beat the Burnout and Turn Rejection into Motivation. And these themes come with a lot of content, kind of looking at specific members who have dealt with this or the specific topic or experts in it, as well as monthly contests. So it's always around this theme. This month is a $50 Airbnb gift card for Beat the Burnout. So kind of to gain that little bit of relaxation. And then being able to find other members on the platform. Lots of webinars. We're building our first one now with the author of a book called Getting Shit Done. So we're going to do a webinar on how to use automation in your business to be able to scale. And those are all going to be free webinars that anyone can join. Then a lot of role model content. So really getting those interviews and videos from members, understanding their journey, how they got to where they are. Access to all of the events. None of our events are closed. We do have these accountability groups, which is obviously just those who are part of that group, but every event that you see is open. And then content from other members. This is also a really big one that we're going to be pushing, is that a lot of people have their own events and their own webinars and everything like that, their own content, their own articles. We're really kind of gathering all of that to have kind of a central place where you can find a lot of the relevant kind of empowering women events in one place. So then the next membership option that we're going to put, that we're wrapping up now, is the plant membership. So this we're going to be keeping free until August 31st. So it'll be free unlimited for all of those members who sign up before August 31st. So with this, you get everything you've seen before. And you also get access to building accountability groups. So with this, it's really having that team, having that framework of, okay, so now I've got, these girls that I found in New York with me. We've already on Tuesdays, every 2 weeks at 4:00, we're going to have just a video call because it's easier because we're too far. And then we have all of the templates of what do we talk about. So in each meeting, what are we going through? How do we track, our progress, all of this stuff. And then there's webinars, so lots of kind of deeper advice in terms of specific use cases and walking through kind of sharing the screen of how do you actually set up, different paid ads, a little deeper in terms of the content. And then coaching templates and webinars. So with coaching, we're gonna start off doing kind of a split. We'll do one that's gonna be kind of focused on that monthly theme, and another one that's gonna be focused totally on members of Q&As, how to move forward. Before that webinar, we'll already have worked with certain members to highlight them, kind of a member highlight in the coaching session. And then a lot of online courses, which I'll go through. I think it's right here. Yep. So the first release will be building daily habits that help your startup. So this goes into nutrition, it goes into fitness, and it goes into kind of mindfulness as well. So there's a lot that goes on to kind of what does your brain actually need in terms of nutrition. So there's a lot of science behind this one. And then just looking at kind of case studies of what do top entrepreneurs do. So kind of what are some little tiny life hacks you can do to kind of set yourself up for success. And then setting company values from day one. This is a huge one, and this is frankly something that I didn't do. It was probably 6 months or so until we sat down and we're like, okay, what are the values that we're working with and why do we create this? And if I'd done that from day one, it would have gone much faster and kind of flowed a lot better. So kind of starting off, building those values, and then advertising on social media, constantly changing. But today, how can you actually get started? Kind of what are the best practices there? Then building a business while working full time and not burning out or completely losing it. So this is definitely a big one. I know a lot of people are kind of doing a side hustle and trying to build something while they're still having a stable income, which is really great and definitely something that we promote, to not enter into that scarcity mindset, although you might be in kind of a time scarcity mindset. But really kind of what are some hacks and what are some ways that you can, organize your life to make sure you're not entering into that burnout. And then building a business plan focused on founder wellness. So this one talks a lot about kind of risk tolerance. So how much risk are you willing to take on personally? That's not only based on your circumstances, but also on you as a person, kind of what are you comfortable with? So if you're someone who really doesn't like a whole lot of risk, that really wants everything to be planned out and organized, then maybe it's something where you don't start that company, you don't go full time until either you hit X amount in revenue or you bring in X amount of investors. So, we really have to build the business not only for your idea, but for you. You're the driving force behind it for a while. They'll hopefully get to be a point where your business can live without you, which I feel like is really ideal. Actually kind of sounds negative, but if you build something, you build this solution that is good enough to live without you, that is to me the absolute goal. But there'll be a long time where it needs you to survive. So definitely building those initial years of planning based on you. And then the next level is called grow members. And each of these as well, in the description up here, kind of also talks about who this is for. So the seed members is definitely, maybe you're studying or you're just curious, you're getting your toes wet. You're not really sure if you want to start this idea, or you just are testing out different solutions or ways to meet women. Then you can certainly do the seed. And then the plant is definitely, you've taken a little bit of steps, you have some ideas, and now you need, maybe you don't have a team yet. So then you get those accountability groups to make sure that you're actually executing on your plans and meeting your deadlines and getting that motivation and kind of having a team without actually having your full, employee staff. Grow members are definitely a little bit further along. So they've started and now they're kind of getting to that next level. All right, so I've got revenue coming in, I'm sustaining myself. How can we get bigger? What am I needing to tweak? So here we call them, instead of accountability teams, they're called mastermind groups. And the reason for that is that you're really trying to pull in, not just execute on what you're planning and making sure that things are moving forward, but mastermind groups are really trying to be on a very strategic level of how can we get to that next level. What have we seen recently that's been a huge help? Sharing, the top tips and best practices, sharing the biggest challenges, both personal and professional, what's affecting you right now and how can you dig deep into that. And so it's going to be, a different level, and each mastermind group is custom built. So again, if you're wanting to get a mastermind group, but maybe you're not, at a high level, you'll still be with others around your level. So it's still relevant. Then coaching calls for these groups. So each mastermind group will have an individual coaching call. to kind of step through of what's going on this month. It'll be monthly, and kind of how they can help to move forward. And then extensive trainings, these go a bit more deeper. There's on the next slide, I'll go into more detail on that. The mentor program, and then the beta investment and beta PR access. So investment and PR access, the investment is really just getting in front of those investors and building out, pitching training and things like that. So we definitely have the network of investors, but we're really doing the beta version to see exactly how many members are interested in this, to know if we should make partnerships and really build this out to be really big. These are the more trainings for the Grow membership. So the first one will be how to finance the scaling of your startup. So we're going to be focused on bootstrapping, which means just not getting any investment, going little by little. Accelerators versus incubators, kind of what the difference is, what you might want to look out for, and then investors in general. That includes angel investors, which are on a smaller scale, VCs, which are obviously on a larger scale, and kind of how to navigate that world. And then building a company culture that will last. So definitely case studies and templates-based course. And then the last one will be how to manage stress by managing risk. So risk assessment and analysis of wellness and tools and habits will be the main focus there. And these courses, both for Grow and Plant, they'll be released every single month. So there's going to be a lot of new stuff coming up. So what is next? So the launch date is July 31st for everything you've just seen up until now. And then until August 31st, everyone will be getting the free Plant membership. And then the new courses are released monthly, themes are released monthly. The events in New York City, San Diego, Barcelona, and Budapest, they will be quarterly, if not more. So quarterly is kind of the minimum. With these events, we're running them with city directors. So a city director is basically somebody who kind of takes reign of the events, of the speakers, and kind of organizes everything. So we definitely depend on them a lot to make sure everything continues to flow. And so there's a lot that you can look if you're interested in getting involved. You can become a city director in your own city. You can join the community if you're not in it. This is my own personal email if you want any additional info into kind of what's going on up here. And giveaway. So I did mention that there would be a giveaway, and so everyone who is attending this call right now, so if you send an email to hello@WomenAmbition.com and just put in the subject Grow Prize, then all of you will have a year of free Grow membership. So we're really trying to focus on bringing value. That's the number one thing. So this won't be a success if we don't do this the right way. So we really want to make sure that we're getting, all the feedback we can from you to really understand that what we're providing is exactly what you need, tweak it if we need to, and all of that. So here, let's see if this, we had a video, but I'll share it in the community afterwards so you guys can all see it. So last I have here is kind of more of a Q&A style. So I do have a couple questions already from the audience, but I'd love to kind of leave it to you guys. There is a chat in the appear.in window. So if you want to just go ahead and write the chat, then feel free, and I will just go ahead and answer those questions. Let's see if anyone has any on the call, and if not, then I'll just go to the written questions I have. Pull the chat open. I don't see anything yet. So I have a question here from one of our members that's really focused on kind of who's the best member for these types of memberships and for WomenAmbition. Kind of what's the target? And that's definitely a good question. It's really something that depends on your needs, and it kind of depends on where you're at. And I think that is something that a lot of times when you're just getting started, you may not feel the need to have this type of community because you're kind of what I call heads down. You're just getting started. You don't really need that support. You're moving full steams ahead. Things are working out, but it's kind of inevitable. You're going to hit bumps along the way. So we kind of want to be that safety net so that if you do find any challenges or issues, which will probably happen, then you have the people to go to. So we definitely want to celebrate all the good times and also be able to bring you up when things get tough. So each membership stage, so the seed versus plant versus grow, it really just follows the perfect kind of scale as your company grows. And that just is because really with the seed membership, when you really understand, you're getting inspiration. You're seeing a lot of what are other women's, experiencing during their journeys. Really looking at those real life examples. How do you manage building a company when you have kids and a family? It's just real life. When do you actually work? Do you sleep? Or so it's really kind of digging into that to give them the full global picture of being an entrepreneur and from various different industries and types of businesses, so they know what they're getting into. And that's mainly for that seed membership, really getting your toes wet, getting that inspiration, figuring out, is this something that I really want to delve into? Once you really figure out yes, you might be comfortable saying, yes, I am an entrepreneur, then plant membership is a pretty good place to start. So that's something where you get those courses, you can kind of be able to build out that framework, feel more confident, you have those skill set behind you. And obviously it's $5 a month, which is something, if you're in the US, that's a coffee. If you're in Spain, that's like 3 coffees. But so it's really something that we're trying to make this affordable for absolutely everyone, and sustainable. We really want to bring as much value as we possibly can, and with a plant membership, we're really, a big goal is trying to connect the members together if they're ready for that. If they're ready to have those accountability teams, then you have all of the resources that you need there. There's online courses that walk you through, once you join an accountability team, what now, step by step, everything that you need to really get the most out of being a member. And then the grow membership is definitely kind of that next level. So now maybe you even have investors already, maybe you're looking for investors and you're really trying to get the right connections to grow, and definitely kind of pull resources from other women so that you're not having to learn everything from scratch. And on this note as well, this is not only women. So I know it's called WomenAmbition. There's a massive focus on women, but the real kind of goal is to kind of work all together. Mentors can be men, speakers can be men. We even have some members in the platform who are men, who bring some value with sharing events, with sharing advice, tips, things like that. So we're really trying to work together. It's definitely not a men versus women thing. But the reason it started off as women and why we're continuing it like this is really for these tiny, small groups to really have that support. I mean, the topics can be very, very deep. So it's something that you kind of want to see, from a woman's perspective. How did they do it? They have a family, and as we probably know, when you raise a family, the roles can be slightly different between men and women. So it's really getting that one-on-one perspective. And yeah, so that's really kind of, to sum it up, it's really just, if you look at the scale of growing a company, that's how seed, plant, and grow memberships really scale for who they are meant for. What is the email again? So the email again, I'll put it in the chat here. So hello@womenambition.com or kelly@womenambition.com. And so to get the just the grow membership, just email either one of them. The Kelly is just directly to my email, and we'll send you a link so that you can sign up. But again, that'll be July 31st that everything's getting launched. And then the second question I have here, do you have advice on marketing and getting clients? So yes, and this is a big topic that I think a lot of, so I would say, I don't know the statistics on this, but I would say most of the companies don't die because their product or service is bad. They die because nobody knows they exist. So marketing changes on a daily basis. I don't know if any of you are from the marketing world, but algorithms are constantly changing. Instagram just got rid of the likes and all that. So everything is constantly moving. So this is a big, big piece of what we're going to be providing in terms of advice and on an ongoing basis of what is the new trends to keep, aware of, and especially for each industry, because it totally changes based on industry. So kind of right off, top of my head advice for marketing and getting clients, I think a good place to start, and what we've been doing as well in our own organization, is doing what I call a buyer persona. We call it kind of a member persona, but it's really understanding who your client is on a very, very, very deep level. like almost on a too personal stalking level. And so the ways you can do this are really trying to talk to them. So if you have clients that, maybe you're a coach, or maybe you have an e-commerce, and you have a continual client who always comes back. Maybe you feel comfortable enough to have, a quick interview or chat with them, and really understand, how did you find our business to begin with? What are your problems? Why did you, buy my product or service in the first place? Why do you continue to buy it? So really understanding, where do they spend their time? Where are they working? What are their problems more than just, what you're solving? And then that can then help you to then find, okay, so, if they're spending, if they're the typical millennial is spending a lot of time on social media, they found it on social media, then maybe that's a good place to start. So running social media ads or building that community. So it's really trying to understand exactly what they're doing on a day-to-day basis, so that from not only just where you find them, but the messaging and what you're sharing with them actually speaks to them. Because nowadays, marketing is just insane, and everyone's seeing, the same message over and over again, and people are totally blind to it. So you really have to kind of get to them on a personal level. So that's the first place I would say to start. But there's definitely a lot that you'll be getting on marketing and getting clients and things. And what else? I think I have one more question here. Let me see. So here it's related to, in terms of kind of mastermind groups and kind of how they're created, and how we can use online and offline, how they communicate, kind of what's the structure of that. So to begin with, mastermind groups, I don't know if anyone's heard of these before. Sometimes they take a lot of different names. But the kind of core of it is really trying to share all of your expertise to get to the next level. And a big kind of rule of mastermind groups is to not shove your advice down people's throats, but to talk from your experience of more, this is something that I have done before. Maybe try this, kind of sharing from your own experience what has worked, what hasn't worked, or what you've seen out there to kind of all grow together. And so what we're trying to do is really custom make them so it's the exact right people who are in your similar stage. So obviously, if somebody is just getting started and they have an idea and somebody's getting investment, most of the time that person getting investment is now basically becoming a mentor to the other person in the mastermind group, whereas you really want them to be, they're either all getting investment or they all have a business idea, so that you can kind of feel like you're all moving in the same pace, and not kind of spending all of your time helping somebody else to get ahead. And that's not the only criteria. Another big criteria is obviously competitors. So everyone has competitors, so we definitely don't want to pair you up with somebody who could possibly be your direct competitor. Another thing is business partners. We really want to avoid having best friends or business partners. It should really be somebody relatively new that can kind of come in unbiased, give you a new perspective, kind of look at your experience, your journey, your problems or opportunities, kind of shed new light on them. So that's kind of how we're creating them, is based on, there's more criteria, but those are kind of the main ones, making sure that the person is relevant. There's also a piece on mastermind groups that's on personality. So I don't know if you've ever been around somebody who maybe they talk a lot more than other people, and then it just kind of doesn't work. So definitely, mastermind groups, they're humans, we all kind of have to get along in the end, because we're trying to build not just, business partnerships, but more friendships where we can actually get along and, want to go to this mastermind and move forward. So it's definitely a part of personality of making sure that we get the right people in the right group. And then in terms of structure and how things are working, so we advise to meet every 2 weeks. Every 2 weeks is really just because you want it to be continual and really on top of their mind. And that helps out a lot with the accountability, that you actually want to prepare for that meeting and make sure that you have, things ready, that you've done some progress and kind of push you forward if you've kind of lost a bit of motivation along the way. And then there's kind of a series of topics for the mastermind group. So we have in a template that we share with each group. And then we also set them up with their own private group on the WomenAmbition community. And they're free to obviously create a group on WhatsApp or any other outside source to be able to manage communications. So I think that might be it for questions. If you have any additional questions that didn't get answered, then feel free to reach out again to Kelly at WomenAmbition.com or hello at WomenAmbition.com. And I think that's all we have. So definitely keep your eyes peeled. So I know it's not until, what is it, a week and a day?